Howdy, howdy, everyone. Mob Ross here with another one of our special extension of Between Two Worlds. I'm here with ChargingUv. How you doing today, man?
Hey, dude, I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're here too. Thanks for being willing to do this and take a chance on all
Sweet.
this idea. What are we doing today?
I just want to kind of meander around the valley a bit. I figure we can start with a bounty and then see where the road takes us.
Cozy. Lead on. Pick whatever you want.
Okay. Azzy's Mansion first up. We can start headed that way.
Hi. I'm just gonna follow you and play support. So you're doing what kind of build today?
I'm running something that's a bit unconventional, I suppose. I've always played mage in R1, never really branched out too much, so I just kind of built whatever I picked up along the way and kept with it. So I'm using Archmage's Femur right now, and then just some generic mage stuff. Doesn't
Cozy.
matter. Doesn't matter too much in Valley Overworld anyway.
Yeah. This is gonna be cozy. We're gonna have fun.
Yeah.
So, for those unfamiliar with your work, what do you do for Monumenta?
So I primarily do building. I like to do a lot of natural environments. So one of the biggest things I suppose I've done is I've helped a lot with the R1 reworks. So one of the first things I did on the team was actually that POI is scary, but we can do it. One of the first things I did was a small water cavern rework, and that was my first contribution. And so I've mainly done R1 stuff, but I've also done stuff like Zenith rooms. I've helped a lot with SKR rooms, and about halfway through my my Zenith rooms, I was taught how to do spawners in gameplay, and since then I've kind of done a hybrid of both. So I
Nice.
really enjoy, crafting environments and thinking about mob placement as stuff like that.
When you
Uh,
say taught, was
for
that like more of a design thing or like a technical implementation issue?
that was like I'm following around Nick Non and Spectator, learning how he designed spawner encounters. Yeah,
Nice.
and so that's what I did for probably most of my internship and my time on the team for the first 6 or 8 months. But I ended up branching out and starting to learn mob development as well for SKR. So I did about 80 of the mobs in that content.
Dang, I
And
didn't
then,
know you had that many. How many are
oh
there
god,
total?
there's I think 120 total uniques.
So more than half. Well done, man.
Yeah. So that was probably about a month of stuff there. Oh, this is a quest reward. I didn't have to come up here.
Dude, it's been actual years since I've done this POI.
Well, to be fair, it did get reworked.
Was it bigger
This is one of the new ones.
before?
MN built it.
Nice, yeah, I remember doing it like for Pyromania.
Yeah. God, this was, I think, a pain point for the longest time.
Cozy.
Oh, I guess there's an up back here. But no, so I essentially do, I'll do POIs, I do environment and building, and then I'll do mobs for them as well. So I guess that's a summation, but I kind of branch out and do a lot of things overall.
Excellent. And when did you start?
Development or Monumenta?
Both. Well, let's first do development.
Okay, development I think was 2023, like Octoberish. I joined Build Shard, and from there I did two SKR rooms, and then I started on the team after that, directly after. Monumenta
Yeah,
is, I
how'd you
guess, a
discover
little.
it?
I discovered Monumenta from a Deralia stream, funnily enough.
Nice.
I think a lot of folks seem to have come over from there.
Definitely. So you're an
Uh,
HSB player?
Not really anymore. I played it casually back then and never really got far into the game. But I started Monumenta very casually in 2021. Like, took me about 3 months to progress through Valley on and off, and then
Nice.
about another month or so to do R2.
Were you playing solo or did you have friends to do it with?
Primarily solo for R1, and then I found someone else in progression, and we both kind of made our way through it together. I remember actually we weren't going to do R2 just yet, but the season pass had just come out and we had been able to do it. But then there was one for depths rooms completion. So we did as much as we could. Like, we had just started R2. And then there was a depths mission. So we tried to get to depths as fast as possible. And then we did
Cool.
unlock it with 2 days to spare. But I mean, we were in tiered gear, two of us having no idea what was going on going into depths rooms. And so
That's
that
the best
was
way to do it.
That was messy, but it was amazing. But I didn't like play super, like I wasn't really in the game, so to speak. I was kind of busy with other projects on different servers. But I really picked up the game again in 2023, I would say. And then I kind of focused on hoping to join the development team from there.
And what drew you to that decision?
It felt like, well, I liked the game. I liked R1 and R2. And I guess I decided before R3 even released that it was something I wanted to contribute. What's this? I don't think I've ever been in here in my life.
Same.
Completely normal. See, I would have thought that's like a 5 HXP for completely normal.
Why
sword.
is it so expensive?
I don't know. That's definitely a reference to something.
I'm getting it.
Oh my god, you're rich.
I am a bit. Selling legacies helps.
Yeah, I've seen those auctions in the channel, like holy moly. But no, so in my previous projects, I would do like I've fooled around with jigsaw structures and making custom data packs and stuff like that. But I saw Monumenta and it was kind of similar, and so I was able to apply some of the stuff I'd been doing before, spawner-based combat. I didn't come from the CTM scene, but it was similar. Oh.
What god?
I'll catch up.
I didn't even know they dropped those.
Yeah, they drop instant harming too. Let me see. I'll teleport to far and manifest in a second.
Highwatch would be much closer.
That's what I meant to say. Brain's not catching up. But no, so that was similar. It was similar to what I was doing before, and I was able to use it as a bit of a creative outlet. I think because at the time I didn't know, there weren't any development projects that caught my interest or anything like that. Because I mean, didn't see any of them as a player.
And you kind of joined in the lull right after R3 came out, where we didn't have a whole lot coming
yeah,
out just
yeah.
yet. So yeah, that's fair.
I joined right as the content drought, so to speak, was starting. And so joining that team then, it was right before Starpoint released, actually.
Nice.
I remember I was able to contribute a bit to that.
Nice. What'd you do for Starpoint?
I helped a lot with the tail end of Ptolemais. There's some crypts kind of thing that's a quest area now for SKR that I kind of helped polish up in a group. Just kind of small miscellaneous things, because when I joined, there was probably about 2 months left of work. Wow, we need to place light blocks in this place. It's dark.
That's why we gave us torches.
That's what we gave us torches. You know what? You're so true. But yeah, so just kind of like small tasks for Starpoint release. I didn't really take anything big, because most stuff was done. Like all the POIs were done except Ptolemais.
What's your favorite of the Starpoint POIs?
Oh, lordy McFlordy. Oh, there's a guy here.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. I'm a big fan of Ptolemais. Always have been. I think Constellation Tower is the community pick, but I've always really appreciated it. It's so Bloodborne in the best ways. I've loved that POI.
Well, I'm glad that you liked the thing that you worked on. That's very
yeah.
funny.
Only did stuff on the tail end, but it was fun.
Have you played Bloodborne?
I haven't. I don't have a console, and I'm scared I'm going to get malware if I try and do any of the PC versions.
Sure.
I think MN is actually braving it as we speak, and he's been mostly successful, so
nice.
We'll see.
Yeah, I've poked at it a little bit, but the emulation quality is just not quite there yet for me. But yeah. I'm also interested.
I also saw there was like an Elden Ring mod of it, but that seems just kind of re-inspired almost version of it.
Very cool.
I hope this guy isn't going to the same POI we are. That would be a little unfortunate.
We can find out.
We will find out.
So how'd you come up with your username?
Oh lord, that's going way back. I was in grade 2, and I was in the computer lab, right? And I was playing some online web game, and it asked for a username. And me being boring and uncreative was looking around the room for something to take inspiration from.
Yeah, I know it. I know that feeling.
Yeah, we had these. It was a computer lab, but there was also a bunch of books stored on shelves nearby. organized by reading level. So it was reading level like A, B, C, all the way down to X, Y, Z. And they were organized in these little bins. And I saw one that was U/V. So in the website asking for a username, I just typed in UV. And so I used that for many years. But eventually when I made an Xbox account and all that, shockingly, the two-letter names were all oh my god. The two-letter names were all taken. So Xbox suggested I throw charging in front of it. And I've rolled with that ever since. And that must have been...
Dude, preaching to the choir right here. I got my name the
12 years
exact same way.
No way.
Yeah, I loved Omega was like my username on everything, but of course that was taken when I got an Xbox Live, so I just went with the first adjective that it let me have.
Yeah,
I totally get you
fair
right
enough.
now.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's how a lot of people got their names from Xbox Live.
Yeah.
I think Herring has a teleport back. Helling. I don't know how to pronounce her name.
I think you got it on the very last one there, Hellring.
Hellring, yes, Hellring.
An unfortunate name for a demon-related boss.
Pronouncing names in this game has never been my strong suit.
What, Baharavi doesn't just
No, I can't even
tongue?
mentally say it, dude. I can't even, like, think about how to say it.
I mean, BH is just not a common...
Hairv or something.
Baharavi.
Well, I get flamed because it's Morog's Pestilence, but when I first read it, I thought of lemon meringue pie, and so I've always called it meringues ever since.
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna start calling it that. Hey, what's the origin of charging bucks?
Oh, Lord. Okay, so trying to motivate other developers around me to do stuff. I would like bribe people with charging points or charging bucks, so to speak. Like, Alex, can you decorate this tree for me? I'll give you, it's worth a charging buck if you do it, or stuff adjacent to that.
You want your
and
grave?
so oh, I forgot about that. That would be good to get, wouldn't it? And so from there, I just kind of kept bribing people with it. And at some point, I mentioned it in Play Corridor, someone else did, and so it kind of stuck from there. It lent itself as an opportunity to be included in the April Fool's thing, but I should really rename it to something more generic. Don't want to leave too blatant of a self-insert in the game.
I mean, that's hardly the worst one. We got Cerondis and...
I know, but sins of the past don't justify sins of the future necessarily.
Amen. Well said.
This trap always triggers early. Anyway.
What is your favorite thing to play in the game itself?
In the game itself? Well, when I actually have motivation to do content, I'd spin up a shifting. I don't have a lot of time, but out of all the dungeons, shifting is definitely my most played.
Nice.
But in the last 8 months or so, I've found myself, whether it's in between a POI rework or I've run out of build steam, so to speak, on dev, I'll just kind of hop on Valley and just start running around POIs. Not dissimilar to what I'm doing now with you. Just kind of vibing. R1 has this lovely charm to it.
It's such a vibe.
Where you can just kind of zone out. Oh! Speaking of zoning out... There we go. I don't know if you care about the 3 CXP per chest, but I did empty my bag of hoarding, so we can split this at the end.
No worries, all yours.
But I do wish some of these POIs had a bit more of a challenge. So one of these days I'd love to pursue an amping rework, get some more challenge in the overworld. But that's probably ways away.
Do you think it would be possible to backport the overworld delve system to R1 and R2? It seems like an easy way to...
Folks have mentioned that. Hold on, Frogvis is DMing me, do I want to do a Twisted Jeremy? I am doing an interview right now, but maybe later. Thank you, Frogvis. I don't know if it would make sense to be delves. I've thought about it. I think it works for R3. I don't necessarily think porting delves. I think we can do a little bit more creative, is what I mean to say.
Mm-hmm.
We have the room to do things differently. And delves are also, like, everywhere. You know, they're in Zenith, they're in
True.
Overworld in R3, they're in POIs, so it's almost oversaturated to an extent. Nothing wrong. Like I'm not saying delves are a bad system, but I think we can do something different for a change to add some challenge to R1 Overworld.
Yeah, gotcha. What is your least favorite thing to play in the game? Like, what would you turn down if you were invited to, most of all?
Well, there's things I haven't done, but I don't know if that's necessarily because they're my least favorite. I haven't really had a chance to do a Hexfall or anything that's released since. Funnily enough, I actually haven't completed Drask once in my life.
Oh, wow, that is surprising.
That is surprising. So I used to play, up until about 8 months ago, I was on a horrible laptop, and so Eldrask would just eat my frames entirely. But since I got a better computer, I just haven't really done it yet. I don't know, I've been waiting for the moon to align or something, but
Sure. It also got refactored, so the performance should be higher.
it did, you're right. Spy refactored it, and you did a good job with that. I should give it a shot.
What are the specs of your new computer? Is it like a custom build or just a...
Oh, no. I was shopping on the Newegg website,
Nice.
and they had this refurbished one, not too expensive, you know. The benchmarks looked good for what I needed it to do, so I ordered it and it came. I've
Very
recently been having some issues with it, though. I think there's something wrong with my SSD, because in the last month or so, Windows has, like, I was downloading Sea of Thieves a month ago, and so I was letting that run overnight because it's a massive game, 100 gigabytes or something. And when I came down in the morning, I was in like a bootloader menu, and it said, "No operating system installed. Please install something and boot to it."
What?
Everything wiped. Everything. It was completely corrupted. And since then, I've been getting the weirdest blue screens. I've had to reinstall Windows about 3 times. So what I'm doing now is every 3 days, I back up the entire computer onto an external hard drive. And when it does wipe or screw up, I just completely wipe the disk and reinstall Windows and then load the backup.
Dude, that's
I've
horrible.
been doing.
Yeah,
It is.
you've alluded to this in TM Cord.
I
Yeah.
have.
Man,
I've been
I didn't know it was that bad.
collecting. I've been collecting blue screens, as I like to say. Oh shit, that's an immortal guy. I had the weirdest one I've had was it overlaid over Sea of Thieves, so it was like semi-transparent with a bunch of weird error messages on it, and it just gave up. It died, and so that's been on and off for the last little while. Yeah,
Let's
let's
try to
box
lock
him
him
in.
in.
Oh,
I
or you
forgot how
can
they
just do
work.
that.
That'll work.
I don't know how they work. They're like, some of them live for minutes, some of them don't.
Their name is a lie. They're not very eternal.
Yeah, not very eternal. But I see more of them. Gonna ignore them.
So if you've seen the previous interviews, you know this question's coming. If you became the dictator of Monumenta for a day and everyone loved whatever your decisions were made, what's like the one thing you would change about the game?
Give me
And you
1
wouldn't even
second
upset
to answer.
anyone.
1 second to answer that. Sorry, I had to delegate running off to see a cat. Dictator of Monumenta. That's an interesting one. I think I remembered this one coming, but I have to give that some puzzle and thinking.
Yeah, take your time.
I would.
Was
I
this
would
just a random cat or your cat? This is important.
It's neither. Okay,
Oh.
so my aunt, who's my mom's cousin, who isn't, I guess, technically an aunt, is over in Quebec, and so my mom's taking care of the cat. But she asked if I could go run over. It's like 2 minutes across the way, but I'm doing this, so I'm
Amazing.
not going to run over right now. But she's over in Quebec seeing all the plains of Abraham and that stuff. But the cat's one of those. A cat's named Guy, and it's an outdoor cat, so he likes to come in and out a lot. So just to see if he wants to be in or out and go change that state. But Dictator of Monumenta, I think our death system, I would probably do yet another death system rework.
No. What would you change?
I don't like it. It's rather punishing to early game players, I think. It has its flaws in that respect, because we try to tell players not to anvil tiered gear, but then also anvil is how they recover from graves, and There's some stuff to smooth out there, I think. Would be nice. Also, I think we ran a player poll on this, but there was a very clear division between people who had bought anvils and hadn't. And so people in the late game with thousands of anvils stored in their lime tests, compared to me, who currently has 6 in their inventory on a good 7 now. I just lime test. I have 7 now. So there's a big disparity there.
You want to stack?
Pardon me?
You want to stack?
No, I'll be okay for now as long as I keep getting my graves.
All right.
Oh, you got the materials, nice.
I did.
I think there's a
we'll split those two.
Somewhere.
Oh yeah, that was in the Outer Demon's quest with the button that everyone.
Yes, that horrifying button quest. It was fun once I figured it out. But I remember the wiki was outdated when I was doing it. Well, not outdated. I just don't think it was on there.
There's a
but
wiki.
There was a wiki, I think. Yeah. I've always liked this POI though. Every time I do it, I can never like properly navigate it, and I love it for it. It's so dense and winding corridors. Where's my food?
Is that why you like shifting?
Shifting I like from a gameplay perspective. Like, it's a nice technical feat as well.
Nice kill.
I like learning. Oh, someone did the monument. I like learning rooms and knowing where things will spawn to that extent, and knowing how they'll likely connect to each other and stuff like that. It's also a nice dopamine rush when you get a disc room or a B thread. So I guess it's gambling without the risk, in a sense.
Well said.
Oh, I think there's scaries down here.
Do you have a favorite other team member or one that you've worked with a whole lot you want to shout out?
Asking me to pick favorites?
Absolutely.
Well, Nick Nunn was the biggest mentor during my internship. He showed me the works of gameplay spaces and how to spawner during Xena. And so I think I owe my success on the team to him in no small regard.
Very nice. Hope he sees this.
Hopefully. I think he's deep in the Bloodborne mines right now as well.
Very nice.
Yeah. Is this a dead end?
I've almost never had anti-loot running stuff stop me from opening chests.
Yeah,
Weird that
someone
it stops me.
someone mentioned that on PlayCord that it happens in this POI a lot. I think it's just because we have a bunch of things alive above us. We'll see if clearing that out helps.
This is for the quest. I don't think that's relevant to us.
Yeah. It would be nice if there was a teleport out down there.
Are there any particular upcoming Minecraft features, like base Minecraft, that you're looking forward to using in your work in Monumenta?
Absolutely. Biggest on top of the list is the scale attribute for mobs. That's going to allow so many different options for stuff. It's going to be really fun, I think. I'm looking forward to making a ghast worm mob. No, I'd get killed. But there's going to be a lot of options. We don't have to make bosses all wither skeletons, for example, if we want to show size. And I can't even begin to think about all of the different things that'll enable. I'm sure the creative folks on the mob team, far more creative than me at least, are going to dream up some really diabolical things.
Very nice. What can you scale, like independent parts? Is this a refactoring of each limb, or how's it work?
No, not like models and stuff, but like so the way slimes can get bigger and whatnot, we can make that for every entity in the game on next version upgrade. So if you want a tiny skeleton, you could do that. If you want a ravager the size of a pig, you could do that, or one the size of a mountain.
This is literally everything I've ever wanted from Monumenta. Who wouldn't
It's kind of actually entirely amazing. Yeah, it's one of the things we like. I know with the 1.21.6, I don't know which one it is. I think it's just 1.20.6 with all of the item attributes and whatnot. If I was still working in vanilla, it would be everything I've ever wanted. But Monumenta is lucky enough to have talented plugin developers who can implement most things, but we weren't able to do that, for example. And so that's a really, really nice thing to look forward to. I don't think if there's anything else. I think our resource pack is also going to be able to be vanilla compatible.
Ooh,
so we don't have We don't have to install a bunch of mods.
We still have not finished this.
Yeah, it is like non-Euclidean space, I swear.
Mhm.
I think there's some spawners outside.
Probably. Okay, I've been trying to guess what your skin is the whole time we've been playing. What? Can you
Okay.
illuminate us on that?
Yeah, I guess in post, I've always wanted to say I guess in post. You can take a look at my profile picture on Discord. That is my skin. So
Okay.
in August of 2019, I was setting up Discord and it asked for a profile picture. So naturally, the first thing that jumped to my mind was to run outside in, I think it was 8 p.m. at night or something, so it was pitch black. And I went out to my front garden and took a picture of a potato I was growing with the flash on.
Yeah!
So
Dude, peak performance.
it's been that since. Oh yeah, we got the nice.
You did. Very
Oh,
nice.
I'm gonna head towards Whispering Willows now.
Sounds good.
But no, so I've just kept that on pretty much as my default profile picture since. I'm not one to change it all the time. I like consistency.
Very
I
good.
remember this POI in my... No quest goes here to my knowledge, but I stumbled around it in my progression, and it was absolutely horrifying. The amount of evokers and vexes and illusioners that just terrified me and traumatized me. That was so much fun. I mean, it
I like
doesn't
your
sound
attitude.
fun now that I'm describing it, but
We've all
it
got those
was.
trauma bonding experiences.
Yeah.
Kind of
Type
like
3
you,
fun.
yeah, limping through the game with your buddy, figuring out stuff, trying to get it just in time for the depths pass.
Yes,
Those are the kind of memories you play for.
that was peak, because we were undergeared, basically doing vanilla combat. I don't think we ever got past Hedra. So we were just doing floor 1 a bunch of times, seeing how far we could get to get it done. That was fun.
Do you have any regrets about Monumenta? Things that have happened or that you've done, things that you could undo if you...
That's interesting. Let me think on that. Regrets, things that I do differently. Not to try and say everything I've done is perfect, because I'm sure it's not, but nothing immediately springs to mind, funnily enough.
I'm glad to hear. That's the dream.
That is the dream. I'm sure as we continue, I'll think of something. Nothing springs to mind quite yet. Which is nice. I guess I should have done SKR beta testing a little differently. I would have liked to not have had to tune the drop rates as much as I did week 1. But that was relatively minor. I think we got to a good place in the end.
If that's your biggest regret, that's awesome. But sorry,
Yeah.
you mentioned SKR testing. We don't beta test anything, remember?
Oh yeah,
We just throw it out the second it's
I meant by
even in an
beta
alpha state.
testing, I meant on play, because of course that was the first time anyone ran the content, right?
Right.
Yeah. So just loose beta, that kind of stuff. It's actually a miracle it worked at all, frankly. Why fence gate no line up? I have to mine block. This is so sad.
I'm literally crying right now.
Dude, I have
It's
to...
the saddest.
Crumble. There we go.
When you first started, did you feel that there was like a culture, an expectation of perfection, or did like Nicknon and people onboard everything pretty well?
I wouldn't say there was an expectation of perfection. There was certainly high attention to detail. It was kind of... so the Dunning-Kruger effect, I think I'm pronouncing that right, where you just start something and you have a peak in confidence, and then you realize just how wrong you were. So, lovingly refer to that stage in spawnering as Mount Stupid, where we'd obsess over every single spawner range and think about everything. When in reality, you can just place down a 16 range spawner and it would be a good encounter. Well, not quite, but things of that nature. So we were definitely obsessing over it in the early game. Or not the early game, but in my early time with spawnering. But since then, in the Valley of Despair and onward, it's certainly... I wouldn't say there's less of a strive for perfection, but the approach is different. which I think is a good thing.
Now, where's the Valley of Despair in relation to Mount Stupid? Is that like
So you hit the peak of Mount Stupid,
right? Right?
and then you realize just how wrong you are, and you go plummeting off the other edge. And so you're in the confidence is really low, even though your skill level has gotten better. And so you spend the rest of your days trying to get back up to the level of confidence that you once had, even no matter where your skill level or your understanding is.
Sounds about right.
I think in an ideal world, you're forever in a limbo valley of despair, so that you're checking your stuff, you're cross-referencing with other people, but you're not so unsure that you're scared to do anything. It's kind of like a weird halfway place, I guess. Holy moly. They're still rolling me even a year later. Darn illusioners.
How many red blocks are there? I think that was 4.
I don't know. I once had waypoints up, but I lost them on one of the Windows reinstalls.
The blue screens probably don't help.
Yeah.
I know those are recent, but
well, yeah, because my old, I went to the new PC largely because my old laptop would only turn on if the physical screen angle was, if I had the laptop down on a completely flat surface and the screen angle was at a very particular angle, and then half the time it would still just freeze up and not load. So I've had bad luck with computers, frankly.
yeah, at that point you get a priest to exercise it, not a computer repairman. That's some poltergeist nonsense right there.
I am actually haunted. I do not have the correct vibes for it. Computer mana, as Pirate Software would say.
I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with him. Is that a YouTube channel, Isolab?
Yeah, YouTube Twitch streamer.
Cool.
Does a lot of cool stuff. Lots of game development insights as well.
Nice.
I don't know why I'm going over here. There's nothing up here.
Do you have a favorite bit of drama in the Monumenta community? You were a part of, like Horsemen or
Horsemen, yeah. I think Horsemen was like a week before. So when I joined, I think Mage Tower had just been reworked as a frame of reference. Capprod had just rebuilt it. Why is there one back here? So I think Horseman was a few weeks prior. So I was like I was a new player looking in game chat, seeing all of the fallout of that.
and you stuck around. Impressive.
I kept to myself mostly for the first year or so. But it was fun to look at.
That Panda player, Kovaros, has tagged along with us.
He caught up with us. Maybe he can find some of the last places. Right, there we go.
This place is a maze. Why did we make it this way?
I love it.
I do too. Reminds me of corridors too.
Yes. This is what I love about R1. This style of environment. I think there's kind of, yeah. I think there's another interior section we have to do somewhere. And I know there's at least one redstone thing.
Might have found something.
Oh, I found another one. In a way, it's kind of like Shadowcast. Because that POI is actually non-Euclidean, I swear.
Amen. I have run it probably 30 times, and I'm still baffled by how much is it.
Oh, that's a player. I was about to attack. I guess it's another small regret, but for Smallpoint release, there was a couple steps we probably could have made a little bit more solo-friendly with the following and deciphering of the map across the regions, because I remember people got hung up on that. But again, relatively minor thing. It's over here.
For sure. Are you currently in school, college?
I'm hoping to go into a coastal ecology program in the fall.
Very nice.
I've been saving up some funds, and I love going outdoors. If I'm not on Monumenta, I got hit by the trap. If I'm not on Monumenta, I am out in the bush mapping trails and finding World War II ruins from 60, 70 years ago now at this point.
Well, that's about the coolest thing I've heard in these interviews in a while. Tell us about that.
Sure. So I live in northern British Columbia in Canada. And a lot of the northern cities up here were sub-embarkation ports of the coastal United States for the Pacific Theater of War. And so as a consequence of that, there was a lot of infrastructure built up on the islands that I live on. People weren't exactly great about documenting all of that. So it's not uncommon to just be in a park in kind of close to the city, and there'll be a sign that says "Careful, unstable ground," and you'll look in front of it, and there's just a pit of an old concrete ruin or battlement. There's still forts. There's 3 forts spread across the island. Barrett Point, lots of stuff like that. Oh, oh, okay, that's a trap.
Isn't this where you get those patron potions, the Silver Soul or Soul Sliver?
Yeah, we have to. If we break all the gems, we get that. But anyway, so I like to do is I'll follow hiking trails, and I have a little. I think TNT is about to explode. It is. I have a GPS with me, and so I'll just trace my way and place waypoints. And then using the coordinates that I record there, I trace that out on Google Maps. And so I've been building this map, I suppose, of all the different trails and lots of the old ruins around in the forest that you can find.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, so that's what I mainly like to do in my free time. Brief reload for a hot fix. Uh-oh. Oh, it's a reload. Never mind. That's fine. I don't think there was a gem back here. No, I don't see anything.
Yeah, didn't get a notification last one.
No, neither did I. I think it'll tell us if we break them all. At least I would hope it would.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3. There's 5 notices for those, so I could have sworn there were only 5.
There's definitely more. I think there's way more. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 8 or 9.
Euclid's crying right now at how non-Euclidean this is. Rolling in his grave.
I mean, to be fair, I think the mechs also target at P, so I don't even think it's all players in here.
Oh. Oh, wow.
So I have no idea. What was this guy doing? Was he just practicing his? Yeah, he's just practicing his skyblock bridging with red terracotta out here.
You know, good for him.
Good for him. He's building skills. He's learning and developing. Oh.
Wow.
That was the rollback. Reload done. I think there's one that was like kind of behind a wall, if memory served. But I'm guessing that it's not back there.
Unless I'm blind.
Funky.
Very cool. So ocean ecology, you said, is what you want to study?
Yeah, kind of coastal ecology.
Coastal.
I know I took a year off. I took a year to work, to one, save up, but also to figure out what I wanted to do for a career. And definitely something that I can be spending most of my time outdoors in the rainforests around here would be the dream come true. So having figured that out, I'm planning on going in some training for that from the local college. So I'm hoping to stay in town for a couple years, and then I'll probably inevitably have to go to a bigger city to get a fuller degree. But it's a good stepping stone.
That is so cool, man. How admirable.
Thank you.
What was it that made you really, if you care to share, that made you decide on coastal ecology? How'd you settle on that, aside from it being outdoors?
It's kind of the program here offered it's 2 years, and so it's kind of broad scoping. So I know I want to be doing stuff outdoors, but I don't necessarily know the specifics yet. So this program, I'll get a diploma for it, but I'll also still get to test out a whole bunch of different environments and skills that I'd be learning. And so from there, I figure I can further narrow it down. So that's kind of landed it for me. I've concluded this is impossible.
Yeah, let's just move on.
Frankly, I'm moving on. These ones line up. The other ones didn't. Grumble, grumble.
Do you have did you want to tell me anything more about your degree or work there?
I think that pretty much sums it up.
Well, that's one of the most interesting answers I've ever heard in these. So take pride in that. That's awesome, man.
There you go. Thank you.
What's the most embarrassing skill issue moment that you've had in Monumenta?
Just playing the game.
All right.
I'm not particularly good at this game, to be blunt. My R3 builds are not really builds as much as they are just picking stuff up along the way. And so I'd say that's the most indicative of the skill issue there.
All right.
Not really thinking about the items I'm using necessarily, but hey, I die less if I put this on, and so I'll put it on, even if it's
There you go.
maybe the worst decision I could have made. Oh, the witch's hut is up here. That's right. Forgot about her. Cool. If I'm thinking about a specific instance,
I had totally forgotten her. Holy cow.
I think she was broken for a few weeks because no one knew where the trader file was for it, but we found it in some scripted quest esoteric nonsense.
Nice.
The big spender.
Yeah, it's just been forever since I've gotten anything from her.
Black Cat
Just a
Brew.
bump.
Jump boost 6. That's insane. Oh, what is the moment to appreciate this broom decor? Holy moly!
What is it?
I think we could use that textured broom instead of this.
Probably from a
Probably from blue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of there's some charm to the jank.
There is charm. No, don't get me wrong. There's charm to the jank. There's charm to the jank. And that's
It's like
the
admiring the pioneers. Wow, they did so much with so little.
This is so true.
It's 2017 block choices.
2017. Oh wait, it's been that long, right?
I
When
think
was-
so. I think Grove was made in the first year.
That's insanity, really. It's aged pretty well, all things considered.
Agreed. So, since all our dev work is voluntary, we don't have the means or the funds to pay y'all. What keeps you going? Like, why have you stuck around this long?
Oh well, I mean, plain and simple. I've always enjoyed level design and environment design to some extent. So it's a great community we have here. It's honestly miraculous. It's as good as it is for how long it has existed and the size it's grown to. And so there's definitely something special with that. But also, it's a perfect medium to be exploring level design, I think. I remember when I was a kid, there was a game on the Nintendo Wii I played. It was like Rayman Origins, I think it was, and it was just a 2D platformer. But as a kid, that really got me interested in level design. And so whenever I had time to spare, I'd be drawing stuff out on paper, mock ideas and stuff like that. And ever since, I've always really loved it. And Monumenta is a perfect place to be honing that skill. Not necessarily as a career path or anything, but just as a nice hobby that I enjoy. And I mean, lots of other amazing people on the dev team to work with, of course.
What was it about Rayman? Like, when I think of tight, intricate level design, Rayman is not one of the names that comes up. What was it about that game that stuck out to you so much?
It might have just been that it just so happened to be the game that I played in those earlier formative years. I can't quite pin it. Maybe it was easy for my younger self to pick up what it gave and just kind of run with it. It was simple, and that made it easy to emulate on paper and to fool around with ideas. So I suppose that's what it was. It was never really about like high complexity or anything quite like that. Just about mucking about with things and placements.
For sure. Well, I hope you get to play Bloodborne, because that's got some of the best level design I've ever done.
Absolutely. I've played a lot of Souls games. I guess is vicariously the word when you do it through someone else. Mm-hmm. So I've watched lots of
vicarious.
Lots, because I mean, again, on the old computer, I could play. I had like zero. It was just a small laptop I'd gotten for school. It was a miracle. It ran Minecraft as well as it did. So I wasn't really able to play games like that. So I watched lots of playthroughs and things of that nature. So I would absolutely love to play it for myself, and I suppose I could now. But I think because I have watched so much about it, there isn't quite as strong of an urgency to replay it. Or replay it, well, play it for the first time. Honestly, now that I think about it, outside of Monumenta, don't really play a whole lot of of games necessarily, or video games. Most of my free time is just out and about, or out on hikes or bushwhacking. I think the biggest
Awesome.
other game I've been playing was with the lads, the boys IRL. We recently got back into Sea of Thieves, and so they've been teaching me that, and that's been lots of fun.
Cool. What role do you generally play on the ship? I played like just a
Uh,
couple hours.
oh yeah, well, if I'm just running solo on a thing, it's kind of an everything, but they'll send me down to do repairs in the bottom of the hold. We're not we're not quite so good. We have designated roles. More
Hmm.
so, we're just all kind of running around in circles when things are on fire, so to speak.
As long as it's with
But
the boys, that's all you need.
as long as it's with the boys, that's what matters, right? I
Cool.
love that elite, the Vex elite that breaks your shield.
Is that what he
Something,
does?
it's something about that. Yeah, he just has a golden axe. There's something elegant about his design, though, I think. Let me grab this.
So when you go bushwhacking, like what do you grab to bring with you on that? Do you
Uh,
like fire
I
starting?
suppose
Do you ever camp out?
Oh, I haven't quite camped out there yet, but so I'll do lots of day trips. Some granola, but plenty of water and some juices. I have because it rains so much here, pretty much everything has to be waterproof if you're headed out. So I have one of those backpacks you like roll the top on, and it's like more rubber, and you seal it airtight, right? So plenty of bush saws if I'm going out and breaking a new trail. Otherwise, I try to keep it pretty simple. I'll just grab a walking stick I might have found and go exploring, really. I'm really
Dude,
fortunate
you're such a
being
Chad.
in no, it's just I'm fortunate because living in northern British Columbia, northern Canada, growing up, there was pretty much forest everywhere immediately, like 5 minutes away. So it's always been rather natural to just be able to say, yeah, it's an afternoon off. I'll go muck about in the forest for an hour or two and see where things go. Not dissimilar to us wandering around right now in Monumenta.
It's lovely. So a lot of the questions I was just asking were ones that the patrons asked years ago when we were first doing the interview. This one
Oh, right.
is a fun one. What do you wish the player base would quit doing? Could be
What do
annoying
I wish
or
the
could be
player
like
base would quit doing?
yeah, could be like actually harmful to the game or just annoying. Like
Interesting. The first thing that jumped to my mind was I think you have to let all that remains go, guys. Please let the joke die, please.
But it's coming out tomorrow.
But it's coming out tomorrow. Yeah. But don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. No. I think that one's become permanent. As much as Study in Crimson Part 2 When was the predecessor, All That Remains seems to have stuck around way longer.
Agreed.
Something about it. So many cat gifts, but that's not really a problem. I don't know, nothing
Some would say
immediately
that's the
jumps
whole
out.
point of the internet.
Yeah, exactly. That's if you're not sending cat gifts, what are you really doing with your life? Who
Dog
knows?
PNGs? I mean, what's the alternative?
No, that's just no. Holy, I remember this Elite 2 was absolutely traumatizing. The Raging Minotaur.
Yeah. In the Labyrinth, there are a
Oh,
few of them that really get you. This is one of the few POIs that still gives me trouble sometimes.
it is. I would love to maybe sometime next year look at like amped versions of this stuff, bring that fear element back.
Hmm.
Because we have all this fancy endgame gear, but it's only really relevant in delves, right? Because so many base mobs are just 20 or 25. There's another one. There we go. So that would be a lot of fun. Get that back. I remember a similar one was the zombie pigment in light blue. Absolutely traumatized me as well.
I don't remember them. Are they in the first or the second half?
I think they're in the
Probably
second.
second.
Yeah, they're in the second
that
half.
makes sense
Yeah.
as an alchemist thing.
Yeah. And those things were, I think they're similar to these raging minotaurs in concept.
Very nice. Why is Monumenta special to you these days?
These days, oh, I suppose it's a bit broken record, but again, there's an amazing community here. And we do also have a very unique game, I'd say. As much as it has drifted away from the CTM elements in recent years, the gameplay loop is something unique, I'd say, for an MMO server at least. And so that's particularly special. And again, people are just so generally amazing, the players we have, and the folks on the team.
How did you come to join Wool?
Wool? Oh, goodness. Oh my god. So I joined it because originally it was a guild that was recruiting, and it was right when I was getting, back into the game in 2023. And previously I had been, I think it was in Nova for a while, but that was dying down, and so I was guildless for a while. But I joined Wool, and they accepted me, and about 2 hours later, the guild Discord got nuked.
What? Why?
Because of owner drama or something. So it was a very inopportune time to join a guild. It genuinely, the Discord was completely wiped and a new one had to be made. But it was the people who stayed around was a very fun set of folks. Legend, MN, Troll Silver, among others. And so I stayed in the guild, and I've been friends with them for a while since.
Glad to hear.
Yeah. It's certainly turned into one of the larger guilds, I'd say, compared to, I think Maids is the other massive one, in present day at least.
Changing of the Guard. So I launched myself with Alchemical Amalgam, I think that's what it's called. And
did you
it warped me back to the start, so that's why I'm not there. I'm making my way back.
I was wondering where you disappeared to. Also a really peak POI.
It do. Nails that horror at times. Those sound effects in Whispering Woods I kind of miss. That was good ambiance.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard them, I wasn't quite sure what was going on, but it was just like passive effect. Before we had biomes that could handle it all for us. I remember the mechs for it. I looked at it in Spectator, and they were unique, I think, but functional. It might give someone an aneurysm if they looked at them today, but they work, and that's what matters.
Yeah. Did you by any chance see Flyway's interview? As recent as it was?
I think I watched the first little bit of it, and then I went to bed because it was 1 a.m. and I was tired.
Reasonable. But one of the things he talked about was, as a plugin guy, just seeing the stupid amount of things that we put on mechs and how ridiculous they are nowadays. That was his thing he wanted to change, was, can we just make everything work in plugins?
Dude, okay, man.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think about with that is Krondos has posted a GIF of the old Siege of Hywas quest, where inside the tower there was a wall of command blocks with redstone blocks flashing next to them. I'd be with them on that. I think mechs are more elegant than they used to be, but I'm sure used to plug-in, they're rather
for sure
scrappy. They're rather scrappy-do almost. Not that I'm much of a mechs developer, but I have gotten that impression.
Yeah. So video games aside, you've kind of hinted that you don't play a whole lot. What are some other pieces of art that you really love? Like favorite book, favorite movie, music?
Oh my goodness.
Any such thing?
Maybe it's a bit boring, but I am the Lord of the Rings extended edition all at once marathon kind of guy.
Dude, you just continue to show amazing taste in all things. Well done.
There we go. It's fine. Everything's fine. No damage. But no, back in December, a bunch of my friends have actually never watched any of the movies, period. And I was like, how have you survived unspoiled all this long? Because most of us are just turning 20 now. So we all got together, we booked a day off, and we sat for a solid, probably, I guess 12 or 13 hours. We went through all of the extended editions all at once, with breaks, of course.
That's peak,
but
man.
That was so much fun.
Did they appreciate it, or was it?
Oh, they appreciated it.
Good,
yeah, they
good.
appreciated it. What else?
How much of it did they know by cultural osmosis?
Surprisingly, not much at all. which I was genuinely surprised at. Most like they didn't even know "you shall not pass" or anything like that.
What? Did they
Oh
recognize
no,
Gollum?
they recognized as Gollum, yeah. But now they start quote so many different pieces of it now, like Speaks in Black Speech or Ron Wriggling or Boil 'em, Stick 'em Stew. I can't even quote it, but the
Boil 'em, mash
potato.
'em, stick 'em in a stew. Yeah,
Stick 'em in
yeah.
a stew. Yeah, Samwise Gamgee.
Awesome.
So they're quoting all of that now, which blessing and a curse, I suppose.
More of a blessing. I would much rather them.
More of
Yeah.
much more of a blessing. It
Cool.
certainly beats the other brain rot they were quoting at other times.
Yeah, that trilogy is my favorite movie as well. So that would be my answer.
Absolutely. Seems cinema peaked with that. Always been a big fan of the earlier Pirates of the Caribbean
Mhm.
movies as well.
How many are there?
I don't
Earlier suggest
know.
like what, more than 4?
I think it's four. The one with
Okay, good.
the more recent one with the Captain Dead guy, I didn't really groove on. But Davy Jones and oh, those first three I think were some of the best I've watched.
Hmm.
I'm gonna head this way, I think.
Let's.
Any other particular pieces of art? Oh, well, I guess I could mention this. So, as I've been saving up money, I've actually been working in the local regional archives. So, I've had the fortunate pleasure of my job is we have the thousands and thousands of physical copies of photographs that people took over the last 120 years. And my job is to scan and digitize them and put them on the internet for viewing. So I've been able to go through them all and appreciate all of the images and all of the history that's been recorded in each of these snapshot photos going through the decades. And so that's been an amazing opportunity to learn about local
Sounds like
history.
it.
So things like everything from manuscripts of personal journeys to gas station bills and all these little snippets of people's lives that you can put together to really appreciate how they lived back in the day. And of course, more broad scoping stuff like pictures of the town and things of that nature are also great. But I find some of the best photos I appreciate are just they're just average folks doing things that they did at the time, just out on the lake with the family.
What are some of the
Having it
oldest ones you've seen?
oldest ones I've seen. Interesting.
And actually, better question. What's one of the anecdotes that stuck out to you most strongly, and something that you learned or that you really loved?
Oh,
You came across
sure.
through that.
Okay. So when I was getting started, one of the research things I was tasked with was to look into and kind of summarize the history of all of the canneries in the along the
Hmm.
Skeena River, the north coast. And there's two actually, I suppose. I can say two things here. One of them was up I believe it's the Portland Canal, where the current Alaska-British Columbia border runs. So before that border was settled, so we're right around the turn of the century there. There was a cannery on one side of the canal on an island that was run by an American company, and it was the southern one. And there was a Canadian cannery kind of to the north of it. And they were each kind of, I don't want to say across from each other, but essentially they were just across from each other. And then when the border went through, they were kind of screwed because you had an American company operating in Canadian waters, and you had a Canadian company operating in now Alaska. And no one really anticipated that being an issue at the time because they were built probably 10, 15 years prior to that border negotiation. But luckily enough, they amicably they just swapped canneries, made it plain and simple. They
That's
just sold them
awesome.
to each other for $1 at the time.
No way.
It was great. I
What
don't remember the names
what era
offhand,
roughly? Like
unfortunately. Era? Oh
decade
shoot.
or what, when did this
Uh,
happen?
I think that would be. I mean, I'm gonna get fact checked for misremembering, but that's like 1890s. I want to say maybe. Oh,
Whoops.
you updated the trees. Good job. But around there. I don't know the exact date. I'm probably off by 10 years, one way or another. But right in that. Thank you. No, I'm
Sorry.
right in that. It's all good. Right in that set of years. There was another cannery though that was built over near Haida Gwaii. So the Haida people live there. That's off to the coast. When you're looking at a map of Canada, you have big Vancouver Island. That's kind of the long one off the southern coast of British Columbia. And then you have the almost triangular shaped, cone shaped island to the north. That's Haida Gwaii. And there was a cannery built on Haida Gwaii. It was funded by this German man in the late 1920s, early 1930s, and his name was this fantastical thing. You'd think he was a what's the word? You'd think he was a duke in a high court in fantasy. It was
Awesome.
von Horschmer, of this other place that I can't pronounce. And so he was this German man, and they built this cannery, and they operated it quite poorly, frankly, at a loss for about 6 to 7 years. And eventually they couldn't keep it going, so they were bought out by BC Packers, which is like the growing monopoly, I guess you could say, of canneries at the time. And so BC Packers bought it, and they were going to use it as like a fish station. So what that would mean is that, so say this was your cannery, and you had a whole bunch of boats associated with your cannery. Instead of a boat having to come all the way back to the cannery every time to refuel and whatnot, you had smaller stations around where they could drop off fish and
Sure.
refuel. So they bought this cannery to use as that. And they didn't do anything with it for, I think, over a decade. But they were finally renovating it in the late 1949, I think it was. And so they're tearing down walls, and they found this room that you couldn't get in from at level. You had to access it from below, because they were built out on water on stilts, right? You could only get into this room from below deck, from below the water, up a ladder through a hatch. And in it, they found plans to use it as a submarine base for the German army.
No, what?
Yes, I'm not even making it
No.
up. I'm not even. I would love to be exaggerating this, but genuinely,
Bro.
so they were operating at a loss for years because they were going to use it as some kind of an
Bro.
outpost, but it never came to fruition for whatever reason, and that was just insanity. I
That's so
don't.
cool.
I know. So we had. It was the John Parker letters, and so he was one of the managers in the north for BC Packers, and he was recounting this to a correspondent down in Vancouver. And so that's the only reason we know about it, because someone wrote about it and mentioned that these plans had been found. We don't know where the plans are, and I suppose John Parker could have been lying, but I don't strike him as such. There wasn't really much of a reason to lie in a business accounting letter to your correspondent down south. So that's probably one of the favorite things I've uncovered just going through the materials we have.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how did you get started at such an interesting job archiving?
Oh yeah. So in high school, in careers class, funnily enough, we had to do a capstone project. So we had all semester, which I guess was 3 months, not much of a semester. I guess it was more of a trimester, to do a project and presentation about ourselves, which is the most open-ended, anxiety-inducing question you could pose to a teenager, I think.
Absolutely.
And so I was like, well, what do I do? What do I talk about? And that's what got me started on, I should say, mapping the ruins and the trails around where I live. So for my capstone, I started developing this map with the GPS trails and looking into the old ruins. And so one of the questions was, well, I needed some background information on the American military, how many folks were stationed here and things of that nature. And so I went to the archives, and I spoke with the archivist there, Jean at the time, and she was helping me do the research, and we struck it off on the right foot. And so after my research was concluded, she offered and asked if I would like to come back and work on a full basis. And I accepted the offer right then and there. And so I started the summer after high school ended. So I guess 2 summers ago now. And I've been working there off and on ever since.
Hooray for Jean.
Yes, hooray for Jean. She unfortunately passed away a few years back, a few months back, I know, but she was a lovely lady. She would go out on hikes. She had this dog, Ripley, she'd bring into work. And a dog in the archive, you'd think that doesn't make much sense, but she didn't shed much, and she stayed out in the front area, so all was lovely. And every hour or so, Ripley would come around to all the desks looking for head pats and scritches.
This is sounding like some, I don't know, Anna Green Gables fantasy version of a idyllic British Columbian town. Everything you've told me, I believe you. I really do. But oh my gosh, this is cool.
Oh yes,
What a
she was
charmed
swell.
life. Yeah, awesome, man.
I mean, I guess I've never properly appreciated it, but I am extremely fortunate to be living where I am
Well, that
and
alone means you
have
appreciate
the
it. You
interests I do.
recognize that.
And have the interests I do. I've never been one for big cities.
What kind of dog is
Don't not.
Ripley?
Oh, a golden lab, I think is the right word.
Oh,
I
I
don't
love
know my
golden
dog
labs.
breeds, but
That's
just the
wonderful.
kind of dog that'll put her head in your lap and not really care what you were doing until you give head scritches.
Awesome.
This
Heavenly.
is a Bricks did a great job on this POI rebuild.
Yeah, I haven't ran this one yet.
Really? Wow.
I'm not even going to be nostalgic about, oh, I missed the old way. This is just great.
No, no. The old one was it was beautiful for its time. Oh, the guys that killed me are back. Gonna stay clear of the
Ooh, man.
bears.
Dude, that
Yeah,
did
they
like
hit hard.
six hearts per tick.
It's instant harming too, lingering.
I do
It's
not like
insane.
anything about that.
Maybe we should do this in R3 and then get complaints and I have to resign.
I think you would have resigned by now if that was gonna do you in.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I have always enjoyed making more challenging mobs. I think the joke term is super elites in SKRs. Elites that kill you. Particular favorite there is probably Tyrant of Antiquity in the Asharist Preserved subset. I really enjoyed making that elite. I think it turned out well.
Remind me what he does. I know the rune.
He chases and kills you. He's as the Raging Minotaurs kind of scared us in the maze.
Mhm.
That's kind of the R3 equivalent, I guess. A chase down that. Oh, that's cool. A chase down that that you just have to respect. At least I have to respect on my dubious mage build. I don't know
Sure.
about actually good builds, I suppose.
Do you play Arcanist or Elementalist in the Region 2 and 1?
Okay, so before Inferno got changed, I was playing this Decay Screwdriver Inferno obscene hybrid. And so I used that on Elementalist. Since then, I've gone back to my roots, which is Wand Axe. So Memoriam Ancestral, and in R2 I use Tenebris. And so I do that with Arcanist. Or I've been recently trying out Thundering Legacy, and that seems pretty nice. And the new,
Awesome.
I haven't had a chance to test out all of the new Arcane Strike and Spell Shock changes, but it looks quite powerful. Quite jolly. I realize, actually, by the time this releases, some of the terrain we'll have walked through will be updated, I think.
Oh, cool. Is it that close? Spoilers.
I suppose so.
The
I think it's
rework.
releasing.
Nice.
I think it's releasing Wednesday. Some of the stuff we've gone through.
Cool. Then yes, it will be.
Yes, it will be.
Exciting. So this will be an archive. It
This
all
will be an
comes back.
archive.
You've
It all
archived in real
full
life and
circle,
here.
full
Oh
circle.
my gosh! Absolute cinema!
Absolute cinema. It's like I scripted this. I didn't script this. I've been making this up as I went along.
Oh,
It's
that's
funny.
cool.
It's funny you mentioned that, actually. We're getting a roundabout put in town, and people don't like roundabouts. Well, no, people just don't like change, right? They just don't like change. But I recently dispatched one of the volunteers, Ed McCarter. Love the guy. He's an older fellow. He's super knowledgeable about all the local war memorabilia involved with the cadets and that kind of thing. And so he happens to live by the courthouse, which is just in front of where this roundabout's going to go. And so I dispatched him to go out and take as many pictures as possible before the roundabout goes in, because as much as everyone has a camera now in their pocket, right? Everyone has their phone camera. We don't it doesn't quite as easily translate into stuff going to the archives as you might think. And so we've actually found that the 2010s buildings that have been changed or developments that have started since then have kind of been lost because no one has really come forward with these digital photos. So we've had to kind of get caught on the back foot, so to speak, and now we're trying to actively take and document everything around us right at this moment. Because it wasn't something I really appreciated when I started. But if I don't go out and take the photo, who's to say anyone else is going to think about documenting it, even if we all have a camera in our pocket?
And especially with the object of the photo as its focus, not the people. Like,
Absolutely,
because
absolutely.
you want something without, not a selfie of them holding up their
Yeah,
fingers. Yeah.
yeah. One of the rarest kinds of photo we have that we're very fortunate, the few we do have, are interiors of stores. There's maybe a couple dozen.
Really?
Yeah, because who takes a picture of the inside of a store,
Yeah, I
right?
guess so.
And so we only have a small collection of interior of store photos, and the few we do have give a really interesting insight into the way, uh, of all things, advertisements have evolved over the years.
Do tell.
There's so many more, so much more invasive. And like you don't appreciate it, but I walk into Safeway now, present day, and there's giant yellow signs everywhere. There's hanging, 50% off, club price, Diet Cola, come buy, come buy. Whereas the grocery stores in the photos we have are at a more personal level, I suppose. Not necessarily a ma and pa shop, but every corner wasn't filled to the brim with advertisements. It was before my time, but my understanding is that there was a time on the internet when it was just kind of calm and more chat rooms, and there
Mm.
weren't advertisements everywhere. And I suppose in many regards, it's quite similar to that, but we see it in the physical world, in stores and whatnot. And so that's always interesting to look back at. More homey, almost. As homey
Definitely.
as a store can be. Why is this on fire? Oh, you know what? I'd bet that someone was doing the creeper quest, and that's blaze
Oh,
fireballs that went
absolutely.
ignited it.
Yeah, Mr. Snuggles.
Mr. Snuggles.
That's a perfect example of like early game jank. Having a creeper
I,
follow you and not explode. I kind of love it. I hope that one
I
doesn't get.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that that's what you point to as jank, and not the floating blaze spawners in rings around the POI.
No, that's
That's just
magic.
peak right there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just
yeah,
peak.
absolutely.
The floating sheep. I think my favorite example of Valley Jank is there is a mech surrounding Corrupted Island up here that spawns squid periodically at armor stands so that you can get black dye. That's probably the funkiest thing I've seen existing in this game.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds
It's
like us
very
though.
well, yeah, it's more so a product of its time than anything. Does this feel like it reworked? I don't think so.
Looks about as it is. Corrupted caves.
I know that one did over there
Yeah,
by
for sure.
someone who's about to get their promotion. But I'm just looking at the trees, and some of these are blue and some of them are green, and I'm wondering what's going on there. I don't know. Ooh, Bazoy.
So I think you effectively have naturally, but one of the last questions that I'll still ask, in case you have
Sure.
a different answer, is tell us something interesting about you that no one would ever think to ask in the first place. Like an opportunity to answer a question, or what's a question that you wish someone would ask you about so you could talk about it?
That's interesting. You know, I am surprised that you didn't ask. Well, maybe this was a question for other folks, and we just didn't get to it. But
Go ahead.
proudest contribution to the team.
Oh,
You know.
yeah. I'm sorry if I neglected that one. Yeah, tell me about it.
Oh no, well no,
What are you
you're
most
not.
proud of
You
that
don't
you
have to
worked on?
apologize. I was just surprised, but I think, or maybe not proudest contribution, but like best moment, I suppose, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I distinctly remember it was last October, and Nick Don and I joined a public VC in Playcord, and it was the night that we released Smallpoint, and that hunt began.
Cool. Oh, that was pretty cool.
And so I think from 9 p.m. to wrapped up at 2 a.m., there was probably 30 or 40 people in a VC puzzling it all out. And that final moment when the sigil was input in Smallpoint and people got teleported and they entered the Land of Storms, or I don't remember what we ended up calling it, but the in-dev name was Land of Storms, kind of from Hollow Knight inspiration. And that final moment has to be one of my favorites on just playing the game in general as well, from both a dev point of view and in my time as a player. That's my best Monumenta memory, I'd say.
That's a wonderful one.
Yeah, it was lots of fun.
Were you impressed at how fast they got it, or exasperated that they weren't picking up on clues?
I I don't know if I actually feel strongly either way. It flowed quite well, all things considered. There was a mix of getting hung up on some places, and a couple nudges were required. But ultimately, it came together extremely well through communal effort. And then that final payoff where everyone in the voice call was like losing their mind. That was chef's kiss. I will
Did
forever be
anyone record
chasing.
it?
Oh, yes, it's Ian recorded, or Darwin. I think it was Ian.
Oh,
It's
cool.
in patron chat. He
I-
recorded that moment when people were going through, and I must confess I've rewatched it a few times because it's so much fun.
Cool.
And
Hey,
that
future
was-
Ari, link to that here, or put it
Yeah,
here or something,
link.
so that the audience can see that. That's so cool, man. I don't think I've seen
That was
that.
awesome.
Please.
Yeah,
I've
hold
really-
on.
You know what's
Hold
funny?
on.
I've made this symbol, but I had the spikes on the wrong sides. I
So
had it
what people,
towards-
so what
oh.
you may instantly realize is that when you watch the Celestial Zenith or Starpoint trailers, you may notice that this is the exact shape that is inside the Architect's Ring logo that premieres
We were
Wait,
so
what is
close.
that?
at the beginning.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go.
Here we
It's just
go.
making it. Holy shit. Oh my god. Eyes blinded doors. Holy
Except
shit, that was
mine.
cool.
Go, 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 go. Run! I'm out of here.
Let's
Judgment of the Outer
go,
World.
let's go.
The outer
As
The Black
world.
Blade of the man you have been following.
Curse
Its owner
of
will
the
surely come
Veil
back for one
3.
day.
Oh, I'm dying. Okay,
This has to
what
be
does
one of my
this do?
favorite areas ever. This is so cool. Something
First-
over here? No? Okay.
There's a
Who's
sword.
gonna jump?
This is a cool item.
Blinded Black Blade.
Where did you
So-
get that?
I'll jump.
The
Don't
re-
spoils
the-
it in general.
I think it might have been Darwin who asked a while ago. Someone.
Hold on, I need to go to gutters and
Wrong.
get
I'm gonna
this.
jump. Goodbye, cool
Oh
world.
shit! It keeps going.
Curse of the Veil, when equipped, to drain level divided by 2 health every 3 seconds. Have fun dying.
Wait, it keeps going. Hey,
It keeps
yo.
going. Oh.
Okay, not it's blue, something not here.
Oh my gosh. You were talking about skill issues earlier. I have a proficiency with running into cobwebs. There we go. Get rid of them all. Get rid of them all. Ape spider. And of course, because I use wand axe, I don't have a sword on my hotbar to mine
That's
them.
what True North is for.
That's what True North is for. You're true. Have I done True North? I think I have. It lives in my e-chest. Oh no, I have a Truest North, but it's Masterwork 0.
Nice. When does it get the multi-tool that lets you use it as shears?
I have no idea.
All right.
Presumably,
I should probably know I made it.
presumably a Masterwork level I don't have is my guess.
Gotcha, gotcha.
There's a thing down here. Oh, is this the guy with a nether brick fence welded to his face? It is, although it's a slab.
Oh
Wrong.
yeah.
They
The
did him
patron
dirty.
items. Man, I
Okay,
forgot this. Good times.
Wand shield. I love patron items. I know they had to close for a good reason, but love all of the small
miss 'em too.
puzzle and whimsy they add to the overworlds.
Whimsy indeed.
Whimsy's the right word, I think. Yeah.
Is there anything
Something's
else you
up
want to
with
talk
these-
about?
Oh, I'm gonna go on a rant about these trees being made of different leaves and the colors being weird, but
Pop
I
off,
don't
King.
think. No, it's fine. I'm gonna hop on build and probably fix that in a moment. But I think that's holy moly. It's been an hour and a half, dude. That went by fast.
That went by so fast. Dude, you
That
were
went by-
such a pleasant person to talk to. Like,
You know, I really appreciate
Thank
that
you.
because talking about myself is probably one of the most what's the word? Least comfortable
Harrowing?
things
Oh.
doing, I guess. I don't like to do it a lot, but I seem to be good at it. So
yeah,
fair enough.
you did. You know
I
who
think
you
that's
are.
all
Well
the-
done, man.
all the questions then.
Yeah, is there anything you want to say to our audience watching you with your final moments on
Jeez,
stage?
if they made it through for an hour and a half, I'll thank them for listening to me rant.
Indeed. Thank y'all very much for your time. Thank you, Charging, for your work here on Monumenta and your company.
Thank you,
today.
Harry.
It was a delight. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy your build session and fixing those trees. I'll
Peace
talk
out.
to you later. See ya.
See ya.